Hi, it's Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So for this week, we are kicking off the month of May along with a celebration that takes the whole month, and that's honoring, celebrating Asian American Pacific Heritage Month. So for our theme this week, we are exploring some books written by Asian American Pacific Islander authors featuring Asian American Pacific Islander characters. And because of this, we have a mixture of so many different themes, so many different genres. There's a little bit of something for everyone. Some of the best books I have read over the past year are in this pile. Authors I love, adore, maybe you love and adore them, you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, you get to explore something new. So let's take a look at our 6 books, so let's get started. Our first one is The Ones We're Meant to Find. In this dystopian thriller, Earth as we know it has changed due to climate change and weather disasters over time, and we meet C. And C has been stranded on this island for the past 3 years. She doesn't have any memory of how she gets there. And she's colorblind and she's alone. And even though she doesn't have this memory, she has this nagging feeling that she has a sister out there and she needs to find a sister. And she's convinced that this sister is on the other side of the island, but she has no idea how she's gonna get there. But she has access to a boat. So she's gonna maybe use that to her advantage. While we're learning about C's story, it is then that we meet Kay. And Kay is living what's called an eco-city. You know, it's how they redefined, lowering your footprint living during this time of climate change. And her life is completely different, especially now that her older sister has been missing for the past 3 months after taking the family boat out to sea and never returning. And her sister wasn't happy. And a lot of people think her sister's dead. But Kay doesn't really feel that way. She knows her sister has to be out there. Now, while C tries to figure out a way to get back to Kay, Kay decides she needs to figure out what really happened to her sister, all while uncovering secrets that now that are then in the open, they can't be, recovered. They're out there. Like everyone knows, you can't forget about them. Now, this does have an intricate plot. It may be a little bit complicated to follow at times, but it is one that will keep you guessing the further you read. This is The Ones We Are Meant to Find. Batman Nightwalker. This is all about Bruce Wayne before he becomes Batman. When we meet him at our start of our book, he's 18 years old. He's a little bit of a troublemaker, and he's starting to inherit his parents' huge fortune and doesn't really know what he's supposed to do with that or his life. Now, it's around this time in Gotham City that there's this gang that's called the Nightwalkers. They're going around and they're robbing Gotham City's wealthiest families. And Bruce decides he's going to do something about this. Now, when the plan he hatches goes wrong, shockingly, and he finds himself being arrested by the police, he is sentenced to serve community service at the Arkham Asylum in order to pay his debt to society. It's there that he meets a fellow 18-year-old named Madeline, and she is the leader of this so-called gang of Nightwalkers, and this two of them hit it off. They start this kind of tenuous, weird friendship turned relationship because it does kind of morph into a love interest type thing. But there soon becomes these mind games that are happening between the two of them that will leave not only the characters wondering, but you wondering and guessing along with our main character, Bruce. Now, this unique look at Batman before he's Batman is filled with hints of things to come. So if you love Batman, you know everything about it, you can kind of figure out where things are headed. But if you're not a superhero fan, you will still love this book. This is for superhero fans, non-superheroes fans alike. This also has a graphic novel version, so you are, pretty well adapted to go along with the version of this story, but highly encourage this one, especially, I'm not a superhero person, I love this series of DC icons. We do have others as well that focus on other DC superheroes. This one's all about Batman Nightwalker. We Are Not Free. Love this book. This takes place between March 1942 and March 1945, and it's during the period of the time during World War II relating to the Japanese internment camps that happened in the United States, in our country. This is told through the point of view of 14 different teenagers who are all friends before these events start. And through their points of view, some are told like in diary format, some are told more novel verse, some are told just straight like prose. You will read about what happens from the time how they find out this is going to happen to how it's like to move, to what it was like to go to these camps, their thoughts, their feelings, how they need to be united, the racism they face, the choices they had to make. I mean, like some of them ends up in our armed services, and this is a real thing. This stuff really happened, and it's an extremely powerful look at this time in our history that usually doesn't get talked about nearly as much as it should be, because it is a very poignant part that we need to reflect on and learn from. Love this book. Another book that is amazing is This Light Between Us. If you want to read more about this, it's another amazing historical fiction work around this time, written by another Asian American author. This will open your eyes and it will make you look at our history in a way that you don't get in your history class. This is We Are Not Free. Made in Korea. If you like a good enemies turned romantic interest story, well, this is the one for you then. Valerie is a senior at her high school and she runs this beauty company of K-pop items out of her locker at her school with her cousin, and it's super successful. Now, Valerie, what she's just hoping is she's hoping to get this expertise, she's hoping to get into business school and, maybe form this into an actual, bigger company. Plus, she wants to earn enough money to fulfill her grandmother's dream of a trip to Paris. Things are going great, they're crushing it, when all of a sudden, business starts to slow. Because there's a new student who's arrived. New student Wes arrives, and he has his own successful and competitive business that he's brought with him from his new school. And he's running it out of his locker now, too. And even though Wes has his own reasons for being in business, Valerie doesn't care. And before they know it, they are in a competition like none other, but as things get more competitive, they start to get to know each other more every day. And before they know it, it's more than just business, but of course, they can't let everyone else know what's really happening between them. If you like a good romantic story set in high school, this is a must read. If you like business as well, you'll enjoy this one. This is Made in Korea. Our next one here is Six Crimson Cranes, where we meet Princess Shiori. She's getting ready to be married off to a man she does not want to be with, and she's looking for any way to get out of the engagement. It is then that she loses control of this paper bird that she's made because it's kind of come to life, because it's made with magic, and she starts following this paper bird, and then she finds herself face to face with this shape-shifting dragon. She soon learns that this dragon can also teach her even more magic. It's because of this choice that she wants to learn more magic from this shape-shifting dragon that Shiori's life changes. When she witnesses, she has this conflict, this confrontation with her stepmother. She witnesses her stepmother turn into her true form, would be that of an evil demon. And not only does she turn into this evil demon, she then takes out her anger, aggression on her Shiori's 6 older brothers and turns them into these cranes, these birds. Shiori is then told that if she tells anyone anything, if she opens her mouth at any point, no matter what she's going to say, then one of her brothers will die. So then all of a sudden Shiori is rendered basically speechless. She doesn't want any of her brothers to die. And she doesn't know what she's supposed to do. Plus she's trying to survive on her own. Like she knows she needs to save her brothers, but she also knows she needs to survive herself. This is the first in a series. I will tell you, it does end on a cliffhanger. The second book is not out, unfortunately, until late August this year. So if you do read it, be prepared. There will be a cliffhanger. There will be a little bit of a wait. Book's not even published yet. But if you like nonstop action, adventure, there's some Asian folklore mixing with some Western fairy tale elements. This is a nonstop read. This is Six Crimson Cranes. And our last one for this week, I forgot on the card. This is The Shadow Hero. So, this is a graphic novel that's based on kind of like a graphic novel from the past. So, back in the 1940s, like this is for real, back in the 1940s, there was this superhero called the Green Turtle. And it was a print comic book. At that time there was a ton of comics coming out, superheroes being created every week. But what made arguably the first Asian American superhero ever put on paper in print. Now, the two authors of this graphic novel, Jean Wang Yang and Sunny Liu, they've used this character from the 1940s as their inspiration, and they've taken his character and they've created this epic backstory for him, so we come to know and love this long-forgotten character. Now, the backstory starts that as a 19-year-old Chinese-American immigrant. His name is Hank. His parents are from China. They're living in San Francisco. They own a grocery store, and everything kind of starts to change when his mother is being mugged on the street, and this random superhero comes and saves her. Hank, not really knowing what he wants to do with his life, his mother's like, "You should be a superhero." And thus the Green Turtle is born. And Hank is kind of reluctant at first, but then he soon slowly starts to take on this role of savior for many of the families in his Chinatown neighborhood that are being terrorized by these gangsters and mobsters who want to take their money and their houses and their land. And this unique superhero story is more than just your typical superhero story that we've come to kind of know based on the Marvel Universe, DC Universe. And this takes a perspective which has been long forgotten until this book. Highly recommended it. If you love graphic novels, this is a must-read. This is The Shadow Hero. And these are 6 of the books we have here at the library. They're written by Asian American, Pacific Islander authors, featuring Asian American and Pacific Islander characters. A little bit of everything for everyone, and some of them are amazing. So I encourage you to come on out, check out one of these, or we can help you find another perfect read that you're looking for, especially since we're starting to get kind of into that summer reading mode, because there will be details coming on that soon. I hope you tune back next week. We have a whole new Teen Book Spotlight, and I hope you have an amazing week.